Oh, and we are live. Good morning, everyone. So great to have you all with us this morning. I have with me Tabitha as usual, and we're going to be sharing with you guys a little bit about the meeting that we just had and what we learned, what we discovered. So, morning, Tabitha.
Morning, Kenneth. Good morning, everybody. We're so happy to have you guys join us again on this early Saturday morning for I Am Enough. And I think as Kenneth and I started our early morning, because we always start at 5 and we have a prep session, we were just talking about how challenging this title is that we picked for this podcast, saying hashtag I Am Enough. And I was just sharing with him what an incredibly difficult week I had in my own personal life, just many challenges, and then having that doubt in your mind to say, wow, am I enough? Am I enough as a mom, as a partner, as a colleague, as a friend? And then you also shared something on your side, Kenneth. Maybe you can share with our viewers this morning how you were feeling this week.
Yeah, I also had an incredibly difficult week. It just felt like a lot of stuff came apart, and there's like situations in my life that causes me to feel less confident, I think, less confident or not
Mm.
confident enough. And basically, if you say less confident, I'm meaning not enough, like, am I really good
Yeah.
enough? They talk about that imposter syndrome. Have you ever heard of imposter syndrome,
Yes,
Tabitha?
I have.
Oh my
I have.
goodness. Yeah. So basically,
So,
imposter syndrome is like almost like am I really enough good enough to do this job? Am I
yeah,
can I am I what people say I am? And I'm just a normal
yes.
normal guy. So yeah.
Now, I'm saying now, often when I think of that, I have that little picture in your head with the guy with the little mask on, the long jacket on, and the little hat, and he's like running around, like no one being able to identify him. And I think we all suffer from that to some degree. It doesn't matter how much you've learned or how much experience you have, you find yourself in situations where you think, was that enough what I said? Was it enough that I delivered? And I think that's where obviously the self-doubt comes in. And I think that that's why, what we do every week is we come back and we show up. And that's what we were sharing with the ladies this morning. Both of us weren't feeling great, but we showed up. And I think that
Mm,
that's what life is about, keep on showing up, keep on doing
mm,
the work, keep on
yeah.
upskilling yourself. And one of the other things that we said this morning was like, if you are doing something and then you know better, then you do better, and that's really what life is about. So if today, you're doing something and tomorrow you have a revelation or someone shares something with you, then you have to challenge yourself to do better. Then you
Mm,
can't remain where you
mm,
are. And I think even overall on our share group this morning, Kenneth, for so many people, I think the underlying feeling is that a lot of people are feeling, am I enough? A lot of women were sharing their challenges, you know, um, there's a lot of people hurt out there, not sure how to, process what's going on in their relationships, how to be there for their husbands, be there for themselves. And I think you shared such a phenomenal thing that we need to create safe spaces, like this morning, it was a safe space. These ladies were
mm,
able to share and they shared very deep and personal things. And there's a specific lady that's going through so much heartache, but something that one of the ladies said to her that just, wow, it resonated with me, where she said, you know what, you light years ahead of some of the rest of us because your husband is working Kenneth's program, you working your program, you both are in this, you want to make this a great success. So, and she was like, I wish I was in that position, I'm working at this, but my husband's not prepared to. So that
mm,
just resonated with me, at the fact that, people want to
mm,
make a difference in their lives. People want to change. And when both partners are committed to this process, the growth in 2 weeks for those people is what some people on the group have said. I haven't even had that in a year, because my
mm.
partner doesn't want to speak. My partner doesn't want to share. So maybe if you could share with some of the ladies today what you meant by that safe space from a man's perspective, because we said it's always easy for us women to share and babble and
Mm,
say how we feel. But from a man's
mm,
perspective, what does that safe space actually look like for you guys?
So, yeah, that's an interesting question. I think in a relationship, in the context of a relationship, I was also sharing this on Radio RSG yesterday, and it will be broadcasted. Thursday next week, 10:30. So I'm inviting our listeners to listen to me on the radio. But what we talked about was I was asked by Eloise, the question was asked, um, like, what is it that do men also have emotions? Do they also feel stuff, And I said, absolutely, we do have emotions and we do feel, and men feel deeply and they feel powerfully. But our society has trained us not to feel. Cowboys don't cry. You have to be strong. You have to be this pillar of
Mm.
strength, and you have to always comply to everyone's expectations. And in order to do that, you need to be logical to get somewhere. And that's all fine and well, but we feel and there are emotions. So what
Mm.
does a safe space look like? I think I think number one, there needs to be obviously confidentiality. There needs to be an openness. There needs to be a common goal. People need to be committed. People need to be um united in the cause. Men will
Mm.
quickly try and figure out a cause to talk about stuff when they're around the Braaivleis fire. Like they either
Yeah.
that's the rugby or it's
The
focusing on
fishing trip.
something together, the fishing trip.
Mm.
But
Mm.
actually I heard a study, I think it was in the last week or two, maybe also on Diary of a CEO or somewhere, that he spoke about when kids would when they would put boys together. Or they put girls together, the girls would just start talking and sharing stuff. But if they wanted boys to share, young kids to share, they would give them a project, like building a Lego puzzle thing. So the boys would start
Mm.
focusing on the Lego thing, trying to build it together, all the kids, and then they would start talking. So how's your week been? While building this thing. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
almost like we need to be focusing on something specific. So at Grace Online, that specific, precise thing that we are focusing on is self-worth and growth and development. And the pornography issue becomes the unifying factor that brings these men together. And
Mm.
the fact that all of the men want to save their relationships. All of the men on the
Yeah.
program want to save their relationships.
Mm.
So that's the focal point, and then we share what is the emotions and the feelings and the stuff that we're going through. So I hope that colors in what it is that a man needs to feel safe. Does that explain it, Tabitha?
I think it definitely does. And one thing that I just want to share with our viewers this morning, like from a woman's perspective, is, and that's something you mentioned this morning as well, is that, what the men build up this courage to share, right? And then they
Mm,
need a safe place to share. So sometimes, from our perspective, when that sharing comes our way as a woman, we immediately want to respond. We
mm,
don't create that safe space because immediately we want to respond with answers, with the whys, the hows, and then like dig deep into the detail, right? But I think something
mm,
that we can learn is maybe to just take a step back, and that when your husband starts to communicate, is to really listen before you
mm,
respond. And I know I have a big problem with that because if
mm,
my husband speaks, I'm already answering the end of his sentence, then he's sort of like, and then I'm like, what were you going to say? He's like, but you didn't let me finish speaking. So, and I think a lot of us have that problem, that
mm,
we think we're doing good, but we're not creating safe spaces for our partners. So I just want to encourage the ladies there today
mm,
that when your husband is sharing, to really pause, listen, process,
mm,
before you answer. And even if that means that when he shared something really immense or really deep, that you can sometimes say to him, I want to think about this before I respond, because once you've
mm,
responded, right, you can't go backwards.
mm, mm,
So, and also sometimes to be okay to say, I'm sorry, I'm
mm,
sorry I reacted that way. And I think our husbands would appreciate that. I know that I've learned that a lot lately, because, women are right. It's just a
mm,
principle of life, and it's hard to admit that we're not right. And so I've learned recently, and this is something that happened with me and my husband, was that I had done something that I shouldn't have done, and I should have dealt with it better. And I went to him and I sat down and I said, listen, I'm really sorry I responded that way. And the reaction that he gave me,
mm,
I was like taken back. He was like, thank you for saying that. It really meant a lot to me. And I think often as women, we don't realize that our husbands and our partners also just want to know that they heard and that we hear what
mm,
they say, because it's like you're saying,
mm,
it's that obvious perception, men, they've got this, they're strong, they can deal with it, they can process everything. I'm the
mm,
emotional one, he's not the emotional one. So
mm,
yeah, I just think it's so important what you said about safe spaces, and I'm really going to apply that in my own relationship this week, you know, to create a safe space for my husband to be able to communicate with me. Where's he at? Because he's also stressed. You know, I'm not the only one stressed. You know, I'm not the only one that has to worry about everything. And I think often we forget that in our partners, right? You know, that you guys also feel and stress and worry. You might not express it in the same way, but I mean, you guys are worried about life, right?
Absolutely. So out of everything that you said, there's this contrast between reacting and responding. So there's a big difference. Reacting is in the moment, it just happens. Responding is a calculated response. So it's thought through,
Yeah.
it's processed, there's action and effort and intention that has gone into a response. Yeah, so I mean that's something that really stood out for me in what you said. So
And then
yeah,
this morning, one of the ladies shared something very interesting. And I actually, you know, I'm a very picture orientated person. So often when people speak, I have these little cartoons in my head that are being created. So I think, you know, it's always interesting for me. But one of the ladies shared this morning that I realized I need to stop running. And that was like a big
powerful.
wow factor for me, because how often is it that we just want to run away from these things that are coming into our lives? And I felt so proud of her this morning, because I mean, I know 2 or 3 weeks ago, she was still running, you know, and that's okay. You know, we're there and we support and we love, but the fact that she could resonate and reflect in her own life to say, you know what, I need to stop running. If I have a challenge, there has to be a solution. You know, like if I have a problem at work, I'm not going to update my CV and start applying for new work. I'm going to see what is this problem? How do I work through this? How do I work through this challenge? And, you know, it might seem like a very small and insignificant thing to many people, but it's actually such a big thing, because how many times we run away from relationships that are tough? How many times we run away from circumstances that are tough? You know, and I think that with the Grace Online program, what we facilitate, and we're saying to people, run towards the best version of yourself. That how you're feeling today does not identify your identity. You know, that it's okay to feel bad, and it's okay to feel disappointed, it's okay to be angry, but that doesn't identify, define who you are as a human being. And that for me is just, wow, I can wake up today, I can feel bad, I can feel down, I can feel I'm not enough. But is that really the definition of who I am? No, my character says I've got perseverance. I love people. I want to make this work. And that's what defines me. So that for me this morning was a big takeaway, even for myself.
Even me, even me, absolutely. It's almost like every single person, it's almost like there's this universal struggle with self-worth. Like everybody's battling to feel like they are enough and good enough. Yeah, so to not live according to what I feel in the moment, and to allow my character and my values to drive me towards being the best version of myself. This program is much less about people stopping porn. That would be boring. The program is much more focused on becoming the best version of yourself and enjoying the experience and winning your heart's wife back and fighting for her heart every single step of the way. So what a privilege to be chosen by God to be doing this work. So I think I've got a challenge for all our viewers today, for all our ladies. What is it that the men also watching this, what is it that I need to do? My challenge to you listening to this right now would be to create that safe space, to maybe sit down with your husband over a cup of coffee and ask him questions, and not even, definitely not reacting, but not even responding, and just practice saying, tell me more. And then what happened? Oh yeah, okay, tell me more. I mean, how difficult can that be? Just ask a few questions and absorb the content, or the motivation, or the reason behind him saying the things that he's saying. Will you accept that challenge? If you are accepting that challenge, please post below in the links. I accept the challenge in the comment section. And yeah, let's grow our relationships together. Let's become the best versions of ourselves.
Yes, thank you guys so much for joining us today. And like always, if you need help or you would like to join our community at Grace Online, please go to info@Grace Online and just check us out, see the wonderful material that we have there to help and support you guys. And I'm definitely taking up your challenge, Kenneth. And one of the things I was just thinking about when you pace that change is not to be like, how was your day at work? Everyone knows what everyone's going to say there, but really just say like, was there something in your day that like really made your day great or was really just like difficult? Make your questions intentional and, listen when they respond. I think our questions should start becoming more intentional and not just be the basics. How was your day? How do you feel? What do you want to eat? Are you happy? Are you sad? But really think of some intentional questions you can ask your partner. Looking forward to the responses and some great feedback from you guys of how that sparked something new inside your relationship. So I hope you guys have a phenomenal Saturday. Kenneth and I look forward to seeing you on Tuesday morning after our next share group to just encourage you guys and remind you, and also to remind you, Kenneth, that you are enough, you are adequate, and that you add great value to this world. And I'm immensely grateful for what you do and the change that you do in people's lives. I see it on a daily basis. So I'm very thankful. So to the rest of our viewers, take away that you are enough today and that your worth is not a temporary feeling, but an identity of who you are. And there's more to you than that temporary feeling that you're going through today. So have a phenomenal Saturday and we look forward to seeing you again.
Cheers, everyone.